Hello, Illinois HOSA. My name is Kristen Pila. I am the Executive Director for Illinois HOSA. I am going to run this Jumpstart this evening. So welcome. If you could click on the QR code on the top or go to canva.live and then enter this code, it will allow you to, put on there any kind of questions that you have as we're going along, and then I'll answer them to my best of my ability. I can open up other windows to kind of get you situated with how to become the best HOSA chapter that you can be. All right, it looks like everybody is on. So we'll continue. So welcome to the 2025 Illinois HOSA Jumpstart. Scan that QR code to submit any questions. Just so you know, we are recording. This will be on our YouTube page for you to come back and revisit any of the answers to the questions that you might have, as well as just information in general as it comes along with you entering members or just getting our contact information to send us an email. So our HOSA 101 would be just understanding the mission of what HOSA is, and then understanding our purpose as advisors. So Illinois HOSA is here to empower future medical professionals through education, leadership, and hands-on experiences that prepare students to deliver compassionate and quality care. When we talk about Illinois HOSA and HOSA in general, we think about preparing the next generation of medical professionals for the jobs that are out there and their careers that are to be. Our purpose is to provide professional student organization through our middle school, high school, and post-secondary school scenarios, with allowing students to have leadership activities that are involved. They can run for president, vice president at your local chapter. They can learn how to run meetings in the parliamentary procedure. They'll learn technical skills that go along with a career that they are exploring, or in the post-secondary, a career that they're studying. It also provides them career readiness through the competitive events that we do at HOSA State, that is in Springfield, Illinois, every year in March. And then if they take the top 3, they can get to represent themselves, their institution, as well as Illinois at the International Leadership Conference in June. We love to have community involvement when it comes to HOSA, whether it is running a blood drive through our American Red Cross blood drives or Varsity Partners, whether it's, enhancing the knowledge through our mental health promotion competition area. We like to get our community involved as much as we can for internships, development, outreach in terms of like the metal respite corps, where they can go out and, really impact their community with setting up, back to school drives with those organizations that are public health. Our core values, we want them to first learn skill sets when it comes to going into the medical career. We want them to be leaders, so running for their chapter office or a state office. And then we want them to serve their community in any way that they possibly can to enhance medical knowledge, medical, disparities that are there and present, so people can really understand how to facilitate for themselves, as well as understanding the different medical professions that are out there. And then we want them to be extremely innovative. We think that the more students have of medical knowledge early in their educational career, the better off they become when they become innovators in their future jobs, and can be leaders when they're doing those things. So why be a part of HOSA? So our HOSA membership is, part of what makes us a community, right? We want to explore different health careers. They want you to grow in those leadership scenarios, whether it's at your chapter level or the state level or beyond. And we want you to connect with other people that are going to college, the same college that you're going to, are going into a career that you're going into, or are just passionate about helping others. So all of these opportunities that occur with HOSA allow students the practice that they need for their skills, the opportunity to communicate with others and network, as well as moving forward in terms of being a leader in their future careers. So if you are a HOSA member, the things that you'll get is you get access to scholarships. So we provide different scholarships for those students that are seniors in high school going into college or a post-secondary program. And then we do have different scholarships for those that are in a post-secondary scenario already. Other things that they do is they have a job board to search different opportunities that are out there within those different fields. They're allowed to look at different resumes through our job seeking skills and our interviewing skills, and it allows students to really practice those scenarios in a professional manner, get feedback from their advisor, get some feedback from their peers when they're practicing. So a lot of those things are pluses that they wouldn't, necessarily get in a traditional educational experience. The competitive events, at the local, state, and international levels, really give them the opportunity to hone in on all of the things that they want to have as a foundational skill moving into that post-secondary scenario, or those foundational skills at the post-secondary level, that they're learning in classes and, starting their clinicals. And before they do that, really being able to practice those higher level and foundational skills. And then why it matters. Healthcare is growing fast and jobs are in demand, and we want students ready and focused and really, prepared at that beginning level. So when they get into college and get in those post-secondary scenarios, they really have a good path in which that they are moving forward and excelling. So what is the role of a chapter advisor? So most of you are on here as, chapter advisors that want to open up a chapter or want to enhance what you've already started. So your role is you want to teach them the skills that you know and the information that you know. You also want to mentor them if it is in a scenario that you can, bring them in, make them excited about the skills that they're learning, and walk them through different environments where they can try it out, whether it's on a model or it's on, a peer, whether it's like a taping skill or whether it's a first aid skill. And then again, connecting that back to whatever their classroom curriculum experiences are and the activities that they do within that curriculum as well. So when we talk about HOSA, we want to make sure that you are understanding the mission, the goals, the structure, the policies, and the deadlines that are going to, have to happen throughout this season, right? Starting now, and our state will end in March. And then, those of you that are, moving on to internationals, yours will end in June. But that whole time frame, we want to make sure that you are privy to all the information, all of the different resources, as well as our schedule structure, so you are prepared and really making good, timelines for your students. Part of that, in terms of going to, HOSA state and going to international HOSA, is that component of dressing professionally. So we want to dress for the position that we're doing, whether it is someone's competing in clinical nursing and they are going to be wearing scrubs, whether it is they're in job seeking skills and they're wearing a suit and tie to that interview. So we want them to really move forward and understand that there's a level of professional dress that is expected. When we talk about you as an advisor, they're going to model what you put out there. So we want them to model your professionalism. We want them to follow all of your school policies for co-curriculars and really understand that this all ties into the Illinois Code of Ethics and how that transfers into when they're in their career. And then we want you to keep the students safe, supervised, and track kind of where they're at while they're at the state conference, while they're at our fall leadership conference. So your little executive board that you have at your chapter. And then just kind of keeping track of them and all of their different, whether they do an internship, whether they shadow, whether they're working side by side with you, just making sure that they're always looking out for their safety and the safety of all those around. And for any reason there is an emergency or an incident, that they're able to report it to you so you can move forward with caring for it the appropriate way. And then we want you to coach leadership. So you're kind of like a leadership coach in the medical field or in healthcare. So we want you to, transcend that every single day that you're with the students. So you're supporting them as they're trying to lead your HOSA chapter. So you, as the chapter advisor, are giving them tips and giving them positive feedback and, creative criticism in terms of how to run a great meeting, what to say in certain scenarios, how to, get the word out there that this is an opportunity for students to really shine and figure out what they want to do as they get older. Okay, so when we are thinking about what is the process of this, we want you to make sure that when you're introducing HOSA to them, that you are covering the skills, not only in the extra time that you have, but within your curriculum and your courses. So as we move forward with some of the slides, we'll give you some ideas of where that curriculum connects in areas that you already have within your school, within your post-secondary scenario. And these students can really have that time to continue to practice under you or continue to practice under that team that you have within your high school, middle school, or post-secondary. So on top of doing all of those encouragement things that, we wouldn't be educators if we didn't have that innately in our hearts. But we want to make sure that we are communicating and partnering with our administration and keeping them abreast of all of the awesome things that the students are doing, all the achievements that they have. Same thing with communicating with families, whether you do it as a newsletter. We have a thing called Parent Square, but blast it out there, tell them all the awesome things that the students are doing and achieving, and then allow community groups to come in and impact the students. So whether it is the local fire department coming in to assist with the EMT skills, or to go over some of the labs that are the skills for that event area, allow those partnerships to start and then continue to grow together and give more opportunities to the students as they see how amazing your middle school, high school, and post-secondary students are in those areas. And they might say, hey, let them come for an internship, let them come shadow. So it's going to be this growing process. And then last but not least is manage all those logistical components. So as an advisor, you're going to kind of be their manager. So you need to be able to, look at the thought process of, hey, we're going to have to put in membership. So you're going to have to collect students' names and all of their information. You're going to have to collect their membership dues and, submit that to HOSA, as well as, any travel that they have to do, whether they're going on internships or staying at your location and shadowing individuals. So whatever those permissions and those logistics are, that's going to be part of what your expectation would be as a HOSA advisor. All right. So this year's theme is Champions of Change. So when we talk about HOSA in general, every single year they pick a different theme, and that is kind of be their focus on, debating on some of their medical innovation, pardon me, as well as other competitive areas. So this Champions of Change, please know that this is something that will, this will be something that comes up and in all the different things that come up with our HOSA competitions this year. It'll be on the t-shirts, it'll be in presentations, it'll be the guest speakers will really hone in on the thought process that, medical professionals really are the champions of change when it comes to moving forward treatment, moving forward the, medical innovations and so forth and so on. And the reason that we're at this Champions of Change theme is because it's the 50th year that HOSA is celebrating. So we want to say welcome to Illinois HOSA, our returning members. Thank you so much for being strong, advisors within the community of Illinois HOSA. But things that we want to remind you of that are going to come up pretty soon is, as every year, we have to fill out the affiliation forms. Those are all online on illinoishosa.org. And we need to bring those to your activities principals or whoever your AP is, or the person in a secondary school scenario. Usually there's an activities principal. In a middle school, that might be your assistant principal. And in a post-secondary scenario, that might be your dean of your college. So you want to make sure that that individual is supporting, again, that you are the advisor for HOSA at your chapter, at your location. So you want to make sure that they're filling that out first and foremost. Secondly, we want you to all attend our Fall Leadership Conference. There's a Google form that will open up on September 1st that we are asking you to fill out. It's a very simple form. It'll just ask your name and your email address. It'll ask how many individuals you're bringing with, whether they're advisors or they're part of your student board. We do provide a t-shirt for that time. So we ask t-shirt sizes, and we do have lunch as well. And so we will provide lunch and ask for any dietary restrictions. And then last but not least, when you go to the Fall Leadership Conference, we want to make sure that you're bringing the advisors and your school HOSA board only. We're not bringing our whole chapter. We're just picking those leaders that are really running the meetings for your HOSA chapter and really driving all of the information forward that we're going to provide to you at the Fall Leadership Conference. So that's something that we ask everyone to go to, because there will be updates in the competitions. There'll be other people for you to network with. So please make sure that you attend that leadership conference, as it is a huge thought process of making Illinois HOSA move forward, as well as your chapter. All right, so if you're here and you're new to HOSA, welcome. What we want you to do is we want you to create a chapter by first connecting with that administrator and making sure that you have their permission and all of their support to run this chapter at your location. You want to make sure that you're marketing HOSA to your student body, and then choose some student leaders to help run your HOSA chapter. This is a student-led organization, so we want to make sure that you're empowering that leadership component that HOSA holds as one of its pillars. So we want to make sure that you are empowering those students to be those leaders and run those meetings and do their due diligence of really becoming a network for each other and a support system, and reaching their goals and being medical professionals. And then last but not least, if you're new to HOSA, once you have that student body of at least 5 HOSA members that are students, and you have an advisor and the administrative support, then it's time for you to email illinoishosa32@gmail.com and let us know that you are ready to start a chapter at your institution. And once you do those things and allow us to know that that's all those things have been done, all those our little check marks have been checked, then we'll send it to National HOSA. National HOSA will send you an email with your HOSA chapter number and then how to log in on HOSA.org. All right, so once you get into HOSA.org, we just want to kind of give you a small preview. And for those of you that are returning, just a reminder on why we use HOSA.org and why it's so important. So the first thing that you're going to utilize HOSA.org for is to put in your members. So when the students come to you and they say, we want to be members, you're going to go in here and make sure that you are making like a Google form, or you have a sheet of paper that they have to hand in, and that has all of their information. Okay, so they have to have their name, an email that is a school provided email, some other demographic information will be asked as well. So you want to make something that will reflect what you're going to data entry into HOSA.org for their membership. The second piece, once we get to November 1st, and that would be when membership is closed, that's when you would then look at your invoices, or close to that, when everybody's in, and you'd pay those invoices. So when you go on HOSA.org, in the upper left-hand side, there's an area that says invoices. And when you click on it, right now it'll say none because you didn't put any members in yet. But once you put those members in, it'll tell you how much money for membership you owe HOSA. So on that invoice, once you download it, it'll say the where you need to send the money. So make sure that that is a vendor, or however your school or institution looks at sending money to places. Make sure that administration is privy to that website, or not, to the PO box, as well as the name of where you're sending the check, because some of them go to National HOSA and some things are going to go to Illinois HOSA. So just make sure that you're paying attention to what it says on the invoice, so you're sending it to the correct location. And then the third reason that you really need HOSA.org is to sign up your members for their competitions. So prelims and our state leadership conference, you're going to have to enter them in for those events. So when we talk about events, and when you go to Fall Leadership Conference, we'll dive into this deeper, but they can try one event per category. And there are 5 different categories if they choose to, if they pick one of those different competitive areas within those, and then they utilize all of your knowledge, the different individuals that support HOSA, as well as their courses that they're taking to prepare for the preliminary round, which is the end of November, early December, as well as the State Leadership Conference, which is in March. Okay, so we did talk about, State Leadership Conference, Fall Leadership Conference. We talked about your membership and when that's due. So let's talk about those important dates. So here are some of the HOSA deadlines that we just want you to know. The HOSA schedule for 25-26 is on IllinoisHOSA.org. So it's always readily available for you to look at and review. October 8th is going to be our Fall Leadership Conference. Please note that at this Fall Leadership Conference, there's mandatory information about testing and membership that's covered. So before you can input your students into HOSA.org, you have to either attend Fall Leadership Conference, is what we suggest and we highly encourage, because of all the great benefits that you get from attending, or there will be some Zoom recaps afterwards that you can attend that will open up your membership after you attend one of those. November 1st is the affiliation form, and all students and advisors need to be logged into HOSA.org on the website, kind of what I showed you in the last slide. And then dues should be paid on November 1st or earlier. Whenever you have the ability to put everybody in, download that invoice and submit a check or ACH. If you need to walk through ACH, send us an email. We'll walk you through that process. November 26th, all students will need to be registered for the Illinois HOSA competition. And the reason for that is because shortly after is when the preliminary rounds occur. And so when you go to the Fall Leadership Conference or the recap sessions, we'll discuss that in length. So you have kind of a method to, making sure your students are prepared for that preliminary round. Okay. So where can I find these dates? Of course, our IllinoisHOSA.org website. is a plethora of knowledge for anything that you're looking for. So you want to stop there first if you have any questions. And then if you're still not finding what you're looking for, again, you can always email us at illinoishosa32@gmail. Okay, so here are some of the resources that we talked about. So once you have attended the Fall Leadership Conference, you've had your first few meetings, and you add the students into the National HOSA website, you want to encourage your students to look at what they can handle during this school year and this HOSA season, and really work through picking anywhere from 1 to 5. We normally say in the secondary school scenario, think about all the other things that you're doing, your courses that you're taking, and pick something that's comfortable for you. So you don't want to be overwhelmed. So please pick things. And your HOSA executive board, if those students have gone through prelims last year, they've gone through state leadership conference, or if they've gone to ILC, International Leadership Conference, they should be the ones really providing that information to those students, because they're a wealth of knowledge and experience, and they can really provide them with some really strong recommendations. After you're done with that, make sure that if it is a team event, that your students are choosing another member or the allotted number for that event, and they are writing down who it is, and they're sharing that information with you. Because when you enter those students for those competitions in HOSA.org, for the prelims or for the state leadership conference, you have to have their partners to pair them together on HOSA.org. Otherwise, students will be dropped from that competition area if they're not connected. We will have more YouTube streams as well as Zoom meetings to walk you through that process, so you feel confident in making sure that all of your events are done correctly and they're entered correctly. And if you need any help, we are, like I said again, we're an email away. And then collect the membership fees, send the money to HOSA by the deadline, and then please, please, please use Illinois HOSA website as your home base for all things HOSA. So illinoishosa.org is our state HOSA website where all of the information that we're discussing is at. And then HOSA.org is where you would log in and enter your students, enter their activities, and walk through those things as well. So we talked a little bit about the curriculum and connecting it to HOSA, and how that is such a powerful thing in the scenario of middle school, high school, and post-secondary education. So we want to make sure that you're utilizing your current curriculum to encourage your students to make choices based on that. For example, they're taking an AP biology class in your high school, or they're taking Bio 101 at post-secondary level. They would be great at, a multitude of different events, right? So one of them is clinical lab science. They're using the pipettes. They're doing all of the analyzation. So a lot of those are going to connect with, different courses that your students are currently taking. Second thing is to reach out to those other teachers. So if there's different instructors in your school that this information connects to, please reach out to them and have them be a resource, make them feel like they're part of HOSA, even though they're not an advisor, and understand that they are a viable resource to, those students accomplishing what they want to. For example, there is an event called health education. So if we have students that think they want to go into teaching, and they want to go into teaching and kind of get their feet wet and see what it's like, health education allows them to make a lesson plan and teach for one day in a health educator's room to those students, getting, with an exit ticket and getting feedback, and, stopping in the middle of the lesson and turning and talking. And then they get to present that portfolio to Illinois HOSA and hopefully beyond that. So again, using that team that you're with every single day as other resources for the students that are within HOSA is awesome. Fall Leadership Conference is a great way to make connections with other advisors. Again, some of you might feel like you want to grow and get better, and some of you are new to this, saying, this is a little overwhelming and I don't know where to start. Other advisors are an awesome lifeline to you, as well as your region's representative. So we have HOSA, Illinois HOSA board members that are regional people that will, send you emails along the way, and they could be a great resource because they have, gone through HOSA for a few years. They've kind of figured out all the tips and tricks when it comes to really getting the students involved and really pushing their HOSA chapter forward, and they can assist you with doing those things as well. And then finally, if your educational scenario doesn't have a ton of classes, you can always use HOSA as a co-curricular, meaning that you can have guest speakers come in, whether it is the EMTs and paramedics from your local fire department, whether it is your school nurse after hours, have them come in and walk through some of the skills that the students would be asked to do, and that will make a community connection as well as a school connection with other staff members that are coming in during that co-curricular time, and really, connect and make it be a really huge team approach in your institution. Again, when we talk about students choosing events, I do have a resource link that we can put on Illinois HOSA's website as well, that will give you different curriculum that is already in different universities or post-secondary, secondary and middle schools at this time, and drive them towards what would be the best way to compete based on those courses they are already enrolled in. So when it comes to HOSA, understand that it transcends across the curriculum. So science classes, there's some business classes, there's mathematics involved, your physical education or kinesiology department will have a lot of, a vast impact on HOSA as well. And then the electives at your schools. So some of those electives might be super innovative. At our district, we have a sports medicine curriculum. We have a dual credit medical terminology. So you have to think about what are some of those additional electives that are there and how do they connect to HOSA? When we think about projects and some of the team events, this is where really connecting it to curriculum and, making your labs a little bit more evolved, so to speak, or making a project-based learning experience for a course, you can utilize some of the HOSA guidelines for that competition area to really push the narrative of students applying it in the community, students applying it in this different situation, and giving them that experience within your classroom or within that co-curricular. But we want to really see this enhancing your curriculum and giving you new ideas. Some of you are beginning teachers, some of you are teachers that have been, teaching for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And sometimes it's great to reinvent yourself. And HOSA is a great way to, kind of rejuvenate some of those thought processes of like, hey, this would be a really cool lab in my course. So we can use some of the guidelines from HOSA.org and push those lab components into your courses. So we hope that this allows students to practice within the curriculum that they're already experiencing. We do want to highlight that HOSA is an inclusive experience, that HOSA does have competition areas and areas for growth for students that have IEPs. So those on the HOSA.org website will say IDEA events. So those events are modified. So students that have IEPs, are learning those skill sets, but they're within the scope and practice of IDEA. When we talk about things like blood drives, there is American Red Cross has a blood drive event. So does Versity, and you can put all of that information in, and students can get recognized for hosting so many blood drives, as well as some of their other volunteering. So we want to make sure that, you want to host a community blood drive. The students can utilize that for service hours, as well as, impact on the community. And then for the blood drive through American Red Cross, if you do your blood drive through American Red Cross. Internships and shadowing, those are scenarios where students are really going to hone in on those experiences, as well as taking their HOSA guidelines and asking those individuals while they're there, if they have downtime, to walk through one of those skills that is a foundational skill within that career set. Other times where shadowing and internships is a great connection with HOSA is our clinical specialty event. Clinical specialty allows students to interview and go through and really see what students might want to do and interview that medical professional, shadow that medical professional for a short period of time, and then find one skill that they do every single day that is not in another event, and be able to demonstrate it. So again, they're getting foundational skills, foundational information, and stuff they can grow on, whether you're in middle school, whether you're in high school, or that post-secondary scenario. We already talked about science courses and elective courses, but again, look at it as a team approach. Even if those teachers are not advisors, just you can always bring them to your award ceremony, recognize them on your social media for being a huge part of your HOSA chapter, and really encouraging those students to excel in the ways that they need to. So here are just some of the things that have been utilized in different secondary school and middle school around the state of Illinois. So community impact in terms of projects, reaching out to organizations and doing a backpack drive and allowing the students to understand how that really impacts the community that is down the block from them. Whether it's, doing a blood drive and understanding how many lives that really saves, and that this could be something that they do for their entire life, is going to donate blood their entire life because they know the impact and they learned it through HOSA. So again, you can be as innovative as you want to as a HOSA advisor, and with your HOSA chapter, you just need to kind of see what your chapter's goals and missions are and what your community impact can really be, and you can drive that through the students that are within your HOSA chapter. Okay, so this is the end. Hopefully you will have you've had all of your questions answered today. If not, you're welcome to reach out to us. Understand that membership won't open until you either attend the Fall Leadership Conference or until you attend one of the Zoom recaps after the Fall Leadership Conference, which is October 8th. Once we have completed all of your emails and stuff, so if you're ready to become a HOSA chapter, please email the Illinois HOSA 32 at Gmail. Provide us with the information of the advisor, whether it's just you or whether it's you and you have a partner in crime, which is always fun. 5 students that you have, that are ready to rock with being part of HOSA and your chapter and being leaders, as well as administrative support, that you're running that at your school and that they are supporting you with that endeavor. So once you have all those pieces, please send us that email, and one of us will respond with, sending it to National HOSA and getting you a chapter number. They'll email you, and then you can start the process of, adding your members in, competing, and becoming part of our community. So thank you very much.